Let's talk about something that runs our entire world, but you can't even see it. We're talking about time itself.
It's a total head-scratcher, isn't it? You're literally flying into your own past. I mean, how is that even possible?
Well, it's not some kind of movie magic. It's actually the really cool story of how we all, as a planet, agreed on what time it is. And by the end of this, you're going to get it. The simple rules, the bizarre exceptions, and the real reasons behind it all. So, let's dive in.
Okay, first things first. We have to rewind the clock. Way back to a time before time was, standardized. It was a time of complete and kind of beautiful chaos.
Seriously, just picture it. Every single town had its own time, all based on when the sun was highest in their sky. For a while, that worked just fine. But then, the railway and the telegraph came along, and it turned into an absolute nightmare. How could you possibly coordinate anything? A train schedule? Forget about it. We needed one single point of reference.
So the world decided it needed a starting line, an official 0 point. And they chose the Prime Meridian, a line that runs right through the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, London. This became the anchor for what we now call Greenwich Mean Time, or GMT, basically the master clock for the entire planet.
And this right here perfectly illustrates the big idea. Every single clock in the world, from the one on your phone to the one in a pilot's cockpit, is ultimately set by how far east or west it is from this one single imaginary line in London.
Okay, so you might be thinking, one line in London, great. But how does that one line turn into 24 different time zones all around the globe? Well, the answer is some surprisingly simple and really elegant math.
It all starts with this number, a full circle, right? The Earth's rotation, 360 degrees. And of course, the time it takes for our planet to make one full turn, that's 24 hours. Now you just put those two things together. You take 360 degrees, you divide it by 24 hours, and you get the magic number that basically governs all of our clocks, 15. This simple piece of math is the bedrock for all 24 of our global time zones. For every 15 degrees of longitude you travel across the globe, the time shifts by exactly 1 hour.
And this lays out the practical rule you need to remember whenever you're on the move. If you head east from London, say toward Dubai or Tokyo, you add hours. Time gets later. But if you travel west towards New York or LA, you subtract hours. Time gets earlier. Simple as that.
Now, if the world followed that clean 15-degree math perfectly, our time zone map would be a bunch of neat straight lines. But it isn't. Not even close.
See, on one hand, you've got the theory, the geographical time zones. But in the real world, we have political time zones. And those lines zigzag and swerve all over the place to avoid cutting a country in half or to make sure major trading partners are on the same schedule. Math proposes, but politics and reality? Well, they have other ideas.
And some of these detours are pretty wild. Just look at China. Geographically, it's so wide it should have 5 different time zones. But for national unity, the entire country runs on a single time zone based in Beijing. Then you have India, which kind of split the difference and created its own unique half-hour offset, GMT plus 5:30, all to keep the country in sync.
So we've traveled around the world, adding hours, subtracting hours. But what happens when you go all the way around and complete the lap? Well, that's where we run into the most mind-bending line on the entire map.
Out in the Pacific Ocean, roughly opposite the Prime Meridian, is the International Date Line. And this is a big deal, because we're not talking about just changing your watch by an hour anymore. This is where the entire calendar date flips over. It's literally the line that separates a Monday from a Tuesday.
And here's how it works. If you cross that line heading west, say from the US towards Japan, you lose a day. It just vanishes. Poof. Tuesday instantly becomes Wednesday. But if you cross it going east, from Japan back to the US, you gain a day. You get to live Tuesday all over again. And that is the secret behind that flight from Tokyo to LA we talked about.
Okay, let's just make this super clear, because it's a crucial difference. When you cross a time zone, you're just adjusting your watch by a few hours. No biggie. But when you cross the date line, you're changing the actual page on your calendar. It's the difference between being a little late for dinner and missing your own birthday entirely.
And believe me, this is not just some weird thing for travelers and pilots. Entire countries can and have decided to just jump right across it. Which brings us to the incredible story of Samoa, where a whole day was literally just erased from the calendar.
So here's what was going on.
Samoa was losing out on business because it was a full day behind its biggest trade partners, Australia and New Zealand. By the time it was Friday in Samoa, it was already the weekend over there. So in 2011, they did something drastic. The entire nation just skipped a day. They went to bed on Thursday, December 29th, and woke up on Saturday, December 31st. Friday, December 30th, 2011, just vanished from history. All for the sake of better business.
Okay, so we've seen the rules, and we've seen the crazy exceptions. But what does all this global timekeeping really mean for you? Let's talk about the practical stuff you can take away.
Well, for one, jet lag. You know that feeling. It's when your internal body clock gets all scrambled from crossing time zones. And here's a pro tip from science. It's physically harder on your body to fly east because you're shortening your day. It's much easier to stay up later than it is to force yourself to go to sleep earlier. So a good rule of thumb is to plan for about 1 day of recovery for every time zone you cross.
And here's a final piece of fun trivia for you. Because of the international dateline, there's a daily race going on around the globe. The very first country to see the sunrise on a new day is the island nation of Kiribati in the Pacific. And the very last place on Earth to finish that same day is Baker Island, a tiny, uninhabited U.S. territory also out there in the Pacific.
Which brings us to one last thought. We've seen how an entire country can just decide to skip a day for business reasons. So it kind of makes you wonder, right? If you had that power, if you could cross that line and either repeat a fantastic day or just skip a really bad one, which one would you choose? And what does that say about what a single day is really worth to you?